Thanks for asking.
It is 7?
Hey, I didn't forget you. I just don't know when I'm going to be able to. I'll give you a call. We'll set something up. He'll be soon.
Time is ready as I was thinking, I started reading.
He just drives me nuts.
Yeah, I think
When the little kids cross the bridge.
I'm ready.
What's the note there again?
Yeah, when they start. We probably got to move this on.
Yeah.
I'll move. That's awful.
Good evening, everyone. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming this evening. We appreciate your attendance. Next item on the agenda is a moment of silence. Please join me as we remember Andrew M. Geis, a 1999 graduate of the school district, and Ronald F. Gross, a 1956 graduate of the school district. Thank you. We now have the high school jazz band and vocal jazz, I believe, if I said that correctly. Thank you. We're going to have some little holiday entertainment, so please sit back and relax.
Dashing through the snow in the one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, just making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle, jingle all the way, dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleigh song tonight. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Such spirit
It's great music, too. Okay, next item on the agenda, Mr. Bednarski, Coach Klein. Want to come forward?
Good evening. Thank you for giving me a minute or two of your time. I wanted to first, we had a historic football season this year. We won a sectional title for the first time ever in CNS's history. And there's a couple of people here I need to thank. I want to thank publicly and personally. First, Ms. Speech. This is for you to put in your office. Thank you very much for everything you did, the support you gave me over the years and hired me and allowed me to come and coach in such a great school district with such a great community. There's another one in there. Mr. Bednarski doesn't know about this one, but the second one here that he's pulling out is for Mr. Bednarski himself. I wanted to thank Tim as well, Mr. Bednarski as well, for the daily support he gives us, the football program, and all the athletics, and the fantastic job he does. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bednarski. Thank you, Coach Klein. Well done. Can't wait till next year. Okay, we now have the building planning team presentation from KWS Bear Road Elementary School. Mr. Cole?
Just want to make sure it's on. Thank you for giving us the chance to share some of the work that we're doing at Bear Road. Joining me today is a co-chair of the BPT, Steve Jones, third grade teacher, and also we have Peg Parker. She has been leading our RTI department at Bear. And she said forever, I wouldn't have qualified it. So we all know what Bear Road looks like, and the great thing is, when you walk through the school, you don't know that 1 out of every 3 classrooms is an integrated, supported model. It sounds like kids are just learning straight across the board. We went one extra slide. We did. So our charge this year, we wanted to make sure that everything we were doing was aligned with the movement of the district. And we really looked heavily at the vision. And the big piece about our vision is making sure that everything that we're doing is supporting all the needs of our learners. Now, once we did that hard work and we closed ourselves up in our conference room for a number of sessions to do so, we then looked at the mission and we said, what are we doing here? Well, the big piece is we want to make sure that everyone has a strong foundation for learning, the students and the adults. And then when we whittled that down, it's that together everyone learns and succeeds, the children and the adults. So much of what you'll see on our slides shares together everyone learns and succeeds, like a brand of our school. Now, moving in this direction, we wanted to make sure that our school was tapping into resources in the community, as well as providing the students opportunity to give back. So with our community connections, and then focusing on the character of our children, we were opening up a sensitivity for learning and for others.
Two of the ways that we have done that and made it a community goal as well inside our building are broadening our PLC moments. Our times are all integrated. And in that model, we're able to talk more about the RTI and things that we do for children. Some of the ways we involve the community are up here. These are just a few of the things that we do that we could think of. But in every way, we pull community members in when we get a chance so that we can teach, I guess, that sense of ownership to the children, make them part of the community, make them understand that we care about not just them, but the people around us that make things happen every day.
And by reaching out to the community, we're providing more resources for our children. When we think about the Bear Road Buddies, we have retired teachers and community members coming in, working one-on-one with children in a prescriptive way that the classroom teachers can use that extra set of hands. But we also are teaching them about community resources. And we're opening up their hearts to sensitivity with drives for the military and some of the local drives, such as our food drives and blanket drives along that line. So to get the children ready for a full school experience, we have made sure that there's behavioral support. We are catching children doing great things, but it's our culture coming together and doing the announcements online. WBEAR, every morning, the students are driving our school. And the expectations for behavior are consistent, especially with our Pride Pledge. With our PLCs, everything that we set up this year, we structured to support adults learning about the needs of kids using data and providing them the schedule of time. So from a master grid building wide of all of the meetings, making sure that PLC times are protected, creating a dismissal program with duties assigned that has been in place for a few years now, that frees up teachers at the same time to be able to really talk for more than 20 minutes at a session. We have made sure that the win times, what I need now, those are protected, and service providers find other times for the other grade levels when those are protected sessions. And then we can talk about the adult needs for learning as well.
So that's kind of where I come in, because the PLCs that we have set up with these dedicated times has allowed all of the service providers, all of the adults that are available, to participate in the learning communities. I have bus duties, but those bus duties are separate, and I can attend the PLCs. And in those PLCs, we look at data. We look at the needs of our kids. So I'm sure this cycle is something that you're probably all somewhat familiar with. So we have some assessments in the district, in our classrooms that we use. We need to look at that data, and we need to really figure out what it is that our kids are able to do and what they are not able to do. So this cycle of, assessing and looking at the data is just something that's repeated throughout all of our PLCs. It's done also in the classrooms. Individual classrooms use this cycle as well. So it's a pretty strong one. So as you know, we have a new benchmark assessment system this year. It is definitely something that not only are the kids learning, but we as staff are learning too. So we've taken a look at lots of different assessments that we have and what we can pull out of that. How can we best use that to differentiate our instruction, to group our kids for this win time, to figure out what it is that will help them be better students. And this particular set of data is more about the reading piece. But we look at the levels of kids. Some of these are the HMH programs. Some of these are assessments that we use, the F&P benchmark assessment. I'm not going to read them all to you, but there's all sorts of different assessments that give us different kinds of information. And during our PLCs, we look at that information and we figure out, where do we go from here? How can we better instruct our kids?
So once we've looked at what the kids need and then what we can do to meet their needs, thinking about level, skill, strategy, fluency, when we think about all of that and we identify those areas to group children to be able to really focus our instruction, that gives us the opportunity as adults to say, what do we need in our training to keep meeting the needs of the kids in the cycle? And that brings us back to everyone learns together. It sounded like it went smoothly, easily, but you probably have a few questions. So let's see what we can do to help you out.
Questions? Paul?
Yep.
I can't hear me. That's good. You were talking about the PLCs, and you mentioned bus duty, and caught my attention. I was thinking of special area people, phys ed, arts. do they have an opportunity to participate in PLCs? I assume the answer is yes. So I just wondered how that worked, and do they pick up a WIN group of their own? Would they pick up one of those skill levels?
They don't pick up the WIN groups because the schedules that we have, I don't know how to say this, their schedule helps us with the WIN groups.
That's what
Right,
I'm
so
trying
that
to get
we can do
ideas
that.
for myself. So that's a tough nut to crack. I understand.
That is a tough nut to crack. And what we have been able to do so far, and I'd like to build on this over time, that's enabling us to have all of our 5 grade levels do this work. Getting 5 grade levels time for a 50-minute session once a week is tough if you think about time before and time after. So it is, I want to say, on the backs of the special areas for right now. They do have this year identified a grade level team that is special area, and that's represented on our BPT. So their input is always folded in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for letting us come tonight and share.
Thank you. Well done. Go back over here. Next building planning team, Roxborough Road Elementary, Mr. Matala. Technology's great when it works.
All right, sorry for the delay on that piece. So thank you for allowing us a few minutes of time tonight. Joining me up here this evening to help present is Beth Sofer, 3rd grade teacher at Roxborough. And also I'd like to acknowledge and welcome and thank the many staff members who have joined us in the audience tonight to share and support our work together. And we'd like to take a couple quick minutes to share with you the Roxborough Road journey, our K-4 journey. We labeled it a journey because we are all in this together. It is not any one grade or any one group of teachers or anything. It's a K-4 journey that we're beginning for our students as they progress through our educational system. So just a little bit about who we are, our student population, 25 classrooms at Roxborough. We service a total of 137 students in reading and 45 students in math. 66% of our students receive free or reduced lunches. And we also have a very highly transient population, as I'm sure you all know. Since July 1st of this year, we've registered 72 new students. And of those new students, 26 have been enrolled in some sort of academic support. Another familiar visual to all of you, but it's the high leverage indicators that we utilize and try to incorporate into the planning of our lessons and our daily activities and learning opportunities for our students, trying to, again, maximize our learning minutes that we have with our students. And the district vision, the Vision 2020, again, the document that I know you are all familiar with, but just like you had heard previously from Bear Road, this is our overarching, our guiding document that is driving all that we are doing over at Roxborough Road. So we try to incorporate these pieces in each and everything that we do during the course of our day, which brings us to our current building mission and vision statement, which, as you can see, is under revision. It was created, how many years ago, Beth?
About 4 years ago.
So about 4 to 5 years ago, the building had worked on some mission and vision work. So now to align, make sure that our efforts are focused with our District Vision 2020, our mission and vision is under construction, and I'm going to be excited to be back here with you sometime next year to share our hard work together. Throughout the building, we focus on 3 major goals each and every day: finding ways to improve our students' reading through fluency and comprehension work and strategies, providing more opportunities to support and get our parents involved and to help us in support of our work. Roxborough Road has certainly made the concept of it takes a village. Certainly we take that very much to heart there and try to incorporate our parents and involve them as much as we possibly can to support our students in their struggles and in their hard work. And also building math skills and fluency and problem solving. We work on those goals in a variety of different ways. One of the things that we've embraced at Roxborough Road is an inclusive teaching setting or model, where, as you heard previously, you can't tell one classroom from the next in terms of all students are working together seamlessly and hard on trying to build and improve their skills and their knowledge. And some of the activities that you'll see at any given time in our classrooms, some daily 5 activities, which allows us to have a lot of small group work and small group intervention. We provide a lot of different specific strategies and groupings. We provide win time, which is, again, as you heard, what would I need, which is our intervention model for students that allows us to differentiate our work and our efforts with students and provide collaborative problem-solving opportunities for our students. We also work, as I mentioned previously, in a response to intervention model, again, where we provide opportunities for students to work on specific skills and strategies to improve areas of deficits so we can help them to overcome and grow and succeed. It's a small group model where, again, we use assessment data to support our students in learning. I jumped one too far ahead, sorry. Balanced literacy.
As with Bear Road and other initiatives in our district, we're doing a great job with guided reading and really incorporating words their way into our word work, which differentiates based on student need to give us several different levels. Each student gets a spelling list of the week that meets their needs. Technology, we utilize Raz Kids and BookFlix and other sources of listening to reading. With all the daily 5, there are every day reading to self, reading to someone, listening to reading, doing word work, and responding to their reading and working on fluency. Another slide we were going to include here, but we did not include, was the focus also balanced literacy and work on writing. So we follow the district initiatives with Lucy Calkins writing across the building, and we're seeing some very good results. Sure. Within the math frameworks, we have some grade levels, for example, 4th grade, that's really diving in hard and has made it their PLP to do math workshop model. Each grade level has a different number of teachers taking it on, but we're all heading that way. Incorporating math talks and math reads, utilizing anchor charts to support the students' needs with vocabulary and the content area. Collaborative learning, and we're striving toward daily 3 now that we have more skill with daily 5 in reading. We're going to daily 3 in math.
One of the great things that we're working on in math, if you haven't had the chance to see it, take a swing by the building and stop in and watch one of our math talks or number talks that are going on. The conversations that go on during that time, the insight that those conversations, the metacognitive insights that gives our teachers in terms of how our students are thinking and processing information is absolutely astounding. It's one of the most exciting and engaging 5 to 10 minutes of my days when I can pop in to see that happening. I invite you, please, if you have a chance, stop by any of our buildings that's doing a math or number talk and listen to that. Like I said, the insights are absolutely astounding and amazing. In science, the next generation science standards are unfolding along with the new science kits. So our teachers are going through the training process through that piece to implement some more hands-on and project-based learning activities, again, hoping to increase the engagement and support of our students. Another area that we're focusing and working towards at Roxborough is the standards-based learning and standards-based grading work that the district has undertaken over the last couple of years. And at this point in time, during this current school year, we are working on implementing the district-wide curriculum mapping and pacing guides that have been under construction for the last little bit. And each of our grade levels, K-5, are unpacking the different standards and talking about grading to different specific standards and to different benchmarks and what mastery might look like. So it's some great conversations, some great work is being done throughout our building in terms of standards-based learning. Social emotional learning, again, takes a high priority for us over at Roxborough. And we're working hard under our PBIS model. We do a variation of PBIS to support our students in positive ways to provide support so that we can educate and nurture the whole child. And, it's very difficult to support the academic piece if we don't have the social emotional components, needs of our students being met. So that's where the model that we implement from PBIS plays a major role for us. And it's one of the big things we really strive towards and work towards is building a sense of community among our students. So we take opportunities to bring the school together and build on those chances to really grow and come together as a school community. This next slide you see is our behavior matrix that we utilize. And it sets forth a consistent set of language and expectations for our students throughout our K-4 journey together here at Roxborough. And again, the community involvement piece, the parent involvement piece is something that we are constantly working towards and striving to find ways to meet and improve the needs of connecting our parents to our school. And some examples of some activities and community resources that we have connected to. And that's an area that we will continue to work on. We meet monthly, having parent involvement meetings to try to find new and better ways to support and bring the parents in to help our students and our school in our journey and our efforts. And then just the members of our team, to thank you for a few moments to share the hard work that we're doing at Roxborough, and we'd be happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Mine's more of a comment than a question. I just want to point out, if you turn and look over your shoulder, how many staff members of yours that are here. I've been, since I've been a board member in my previous term as well as now, impressed with the professionalism and continued support that your staff has given you and your predecessor. It's amazing to me. It really is. It was great to see Bear Road, to see Ms. Congdon here, but this is a great showing of your staff behind you.
It's much appreciated as well.
With that being said, your PBIS model, it's obvious the empathy that you guys are able to model and show that you really are concerned about the community that you service. And it's like I said, it's more of a comment than a question. I'm impressed with your professionalism, and I thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have more of a question than
Go
a
ahead,
comment.
Yeah.
Maybe opposite. Just when you talked about the science learning standards, you show cross-discipline activities, which I think is really cool. You have an example of something you're going to try and do with that this year, or maybe are working on?
With regard to the district's vision with this, we're infusing it into 3rd and 4th grade in the near future. So it's really at the kindergarten 1st and 2nd grade level at this time. And we're using the Smithsonian kits, and they're being brought in. And the various kits have really hands-on labs that both the teachers and the students are getting used to. Can you think of the example Sue Lynn was talking about? Sue, kazoos. The kids are working with vibration of sounds using kazoos. And so it's been good. It's, again, Smithsonian based, and it's new to the district. You're welcome.
Working its way up to our early primary levels now.
Anything else? Thank you very much. Well done. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Mr. Keegan, 2018-19 budget update. Get this thing to come on. There it is. No. Too far.
Yeah, no, I got it. He's pushing it too far. Lack of dexterity. Good evening. Tonight I have a very brief budget presentation where we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things we're thinking about as we begin the process of developing the budget, obviously in terms of revenue and expenditures, and a little bit about the timeline. Well, here's a slide that you've seen in the past, and they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, but putting the budget together really is a lot like putting a puzzle together. There's a lot of pieces, and as anybody who's done a puzzle in a hurry, you can't jam the pieces together if they don't fit. You have to work diligently to make sure each piece fits. And I want to just draw your attention to the fact that this year the board has to adopt the budget on April 2nd. And the budget piece might be hard to read on the slide. We won't know our state aid until April 1st.
Maybe.
Maybe. And last year that we didn't know it until the second week of April. So it's tricky. And state aid represents about 42% of our budget. So think about that. We won't know what 42% of our revenues are until the day before the board has to adopt it. So that's kind of tricky. And the other big piece of our revenues is the tax cap and our tax levy. We hope to have our tax levy ready to submit to New York State by March 1st, about a month before the adoption. And there are a number of pieces that go into that. You see the piece relating to the inflation rate, our CPU, and as our consumer price index for urban areas. As Superintendent Speech mentioned in the last presentation, we won't know that information until the middle of January. And we'll look forward to it about the same time, the governor's budget proposal in terms of what his thoughts are for our state aid. So there's a lot of pieces that come together here. And most importantly, thinking about the programs, if there will be any changes to instructional programs, staffing needs, and those are some of the conversations that are taking place with our principals right now and our directors as they put their building budgets together and they think about programs, they think about the course offering, and all those things are happening so that when we finally get these numbers, we can reconcile the two. As I mentioned, the key elements for state aid are the governor's budget proposal. And now many of you have already heard, I think the state is looking at a $4 billion budget deficit. And the governor's been beating that drum, and so we're a little nervous in terms of what we're going to hear. The foundation issue, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, I know that Superintendent Speech covered that a little bit at the last meeting, but that's a pretty significant issue for us and that a big component of our state aid. The local tax levy, we are waiting on a few pieces to come in, but frankly, we had a good meeting with our budget committee recently and reviewed the elements that we have together, and where there are a few pieces of that calculation that are already complete, and we hope to again have the finishing touches in place for our next meeting with the board in the middle of January, about a month from now, where we'll talk in more detail. Always looking at BOCES programs and changes in BOCES funding. That's something we've already put together, our initial budget request for BOCES, and working with our directors and principals on that over the next month. And looking at changes in federal grant. There's a lot going on in the federal government right now, and looking at federal grants and how they would impact our programs going forward. So foundation aid, I won't beat this to death because I think we all know it pretty well, but smart people put together a formula that talks about what the cost of a sound basic public education is, and they determined how much money North Syracuse should get. And as of last year's budget cycle, Just last year alone, we were underfunded by $8.3 million. It's been a $145 million shortfall since 2007-8. And so that's great frustration to us, and it's something that we're regularly talking to our legislators about because that is the single biggest opportunity for an increase in our state aid. And again, there's a formula that backs our request to be fully funded. Looking at programmatic changes, I think Cabinet and the Board, I'm sure, is very proud of the work we've done to try to restore some of the programs that have been cut over the years. Made great progress last year. We continue to talk about that, and hopefully we'll be in a position to fully evaluate and possibly restore some of the remaining things that have been cut. We are constantly looking at mandates and compliance issues. One of the items on tonight's agenda is a wage change for our substitutes to address minimum wage issues, and that does have a budgetary impact. We're looking at enrollment shifts and changes. North Syracuse, we're very blessed to have a pretty vibrant community where there's a lot of development going on, and that's buoyed our enrollment. That's helped maintain our enrollment at a better level than many communities in central New York. And so we spend a lot of time talking about enrollment, and we're using a new product called 5 Maps. It's a Forecast 5 product that Dan Bowles and I are working on to try to do a better job of forecasting enrollment within attendance zones. This slide is a repeat from a previous meeting. Some of the big cost drivers, health benefits, retirement costs, obviously salary and wages. All of our contracts are settled with the exception of our transportation contract, which we hope to have wrapped up in the very near future. Looking at fuel costs and energy costs, we've got a consortium that buys energy, and we're looking at some early data on what we think the changes in our energy costs will be, and so that's a big driver, again, as well as BOCES. So looking at the calendar, the next big date for us to have information for the board is the January 22nd meeting, where we should have the governor's budget proposal, a good look at the tax cap calculation, and our projections for the fund balance for the 17-18 school year. We'll look at our spending year to date and come back to you folks and say, and tell you kind of where we think we're headed and project where we think the year is going to end up. Again, all racing toward a May 15th budget vote. Any questions or comments on the process?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. A round of applause there. Okay.
I never get applause, so I really appreciate that.
Take a bow, Don. Take a bow. Next item, comments from the audience. We do not have anyone signed up. 4A, board committee reports and comments. Look down this way. Paul, Mary,
Sure.
anything?
The legislative committee has not met since the last meeting, but we do have a meeting scheduled for January 2nd. I was able to confirm that Regent Hackinson will join us at that meeting, so we're excited about that. And I'll just tie in this other piece. I had the opportunity to go to the NISET legislative breakfast that was the 9th that Phil Cleary organized, and it was joined by some of the board members here, or at least Aaron, I think, and some of our students, and I thought it was a great event. I want to recognize Dan Bowles for doing a fantastic job in participating and bringing us some really good data in one of those meetings. But I will say the news overall was disappointing to me. They were kind of setting the table to legislators to get us ready to be aware that they talked about the $4 billion budget shortfall and that we should not be as optimistic as last year, which I thought was a little bit of a wet blanket to throw on the event, but that's how they started it. So I thought I just would throw that out there.
Thank you. Mary, when's the next policy?
Our next policy committee meeting is Tuesday, January 16th. And I just wanted to say I had the opportunity to attend an event at our Main Street preschool, Cookies with Santa, and it's such a great event, and I was thankful to be invited to attend.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Shoot.
When we have these BBT presentations, a lot of times we talk about assessments and the tools that are used in these buildings. I have a question about how much time, instructional time, is used to perform these assessments. Do we have an idea or a way to come up with a roundabout figure as to how much time is spent on those?
So our answer to that is that the assessments that we're using at this point are actually woven into the instructional time, and the way that they're given, they're really not separated out. For example, the way that New York State testing would be separated out. It's part of the instruction, it guides instruction, and it helps teachers to know what the students need next. Dawn, did you want to add anything to that?
The only thing that I would add is that it's the law. We have to screen children K through 4 3 times a year. So that does take them out of the classroom for approximately 20 minutes to do that. So 3 times a year.
So that's, you're saying about 20 minutes 3 times a year, and that's about it?
For the screening. And then a teacher has been shown how to do it within their guided grouping or their conferencing with students. So it should start to be just a natural process, because without formative assessment, you really can't instruct children.
Right. Yeah, that's why I'm asking, though, is how is it affecting instruction or not? It sounds like it is not.
I would say it is, because that's how they're creating their main groups.
Is what I'm saying is it's not negatively affecting instruction because it's not interrupting it. It's actually part of it.
Correct. It's not interrupting it. No.
Yeah, I think you misunderstood what I was
Yes.
asking.
Sorry.
Anything else? Superintendent's comments on that?
Well, first of all, I have to say I'm extremely shocked and honored at being presented with this football this evening. And when Mr. Schuster said next on the agenda, I looked at him and said, "What are you talking about? They're not on the agenda. What are they doing here?" So they really pulled a quick one, but I really am honored and I appreciate it. A couple of board members looked over at me following the music performance and said, "This is our favorite board meeting of the year," and it definitely is. We always look forward to this, and we thank the high school jazz ensemble for coming and performing, and thank you to Karen Patterson and Danielle Rausa. I do have one other thing to add. I would like to name the finalists for the spelling bee that happened recently. Jacob Garofalo, 8th grader, finished first, and Joseph DeGrout, a 7th grader, second. Finalist number 3, Gabriel Moravi in 8th grade. Delia Fideli was finalist 4, an 8th grader. Finalist 5, Natalie Wilk, grade 7, and Charles French Jr., grade 8. And I believe that they will be moving on to the next round and representing our school district. And I do want to just add, I wish everyone out there, staff, students, community members, parents, board members, everyone, a happy and healthy holiday season.
Thank you. Routine action items, 5A. Consideration of approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Education of December 4th, 2017. B. Consideration of the classification and school placement of disabled students certified by the District Committee on Special Education. C. Consideration of classification and placement of preschool disabled students certified by the District Committee on Preschool Special Education. D. Consideration of classification and placement of students in home instruction programs as recommended by the Home Instruction Review Committee. And E. Acknowledgement of business office reports for October 2017. I will entertain a motion to approve 5A, B, C, D, and E as a group. Motion, Mr. Harrington. Second, Ms. Scanlon. All in favor? Carried. 6, discussion and action items. A, the tax collection procedures. Don, any comments on that?
Well, consistent with prior years, the tax, uncollected amount of taxes represents about 4.5% of the total tax levy. And the towns do a great job with that. We will, as indicated in the memo, we will submit this to the county for reimbursement, so we will collect the full amount of the taxes. The county will collect those unpaid taxes from the taxpayers. And so the process seems to work really well, and our collection efforts are about the same as they've been last year.
Okay, thank you. B, acknowledgement of gift. The New York Beef Industry Council has donated $99.99 to the Roxborough Road Middle School, and this thing just flipped on me. For the purchase of beef products for the family and consumer science classes. C, recommendation to increase the per diem substitute pay for typist, custodial helper, teacher aide, food service helper, bus attendant, and student aides to comply with the new minimum wage laws. I think that speaks for itself. D, surplus of non-marketable and marketable equipment. I'll entertain a motion to approve 6A, B, C, D as a group. Move that down. Mr. Leon, is that your hand I see? It is. Mr. Maurizio, second. All in favor? Carried. Retirements. 1, Sharon Harding, business teacher at CNS, retires with 27 years of service, and we wish her a long and happy and healthy retirement. 7A, instructional personnel. 7B, support staff personnel. And 7C, administrative personnel. Any questions on those? Any need to separate anything? No? I'll entertain a motion to approve 7A, B, C as a group. Mr. Bufalia, Ms. Scanlon, all in favor? Carried. We have a motion for executive session. Oops, here we go again. Hang on. For the purpose of receiving an update on negotiations with the North Syracuse Education Association and the Transportation Bargaining Units, to review one legal matter relative to potential litigation, and to review the employment record of 2 individuals with no action to follow. Is there a motion for executive session? Jackie Owens, and second, Mr. Leon once again. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we will go to executive session. All the seniors that are here, if any, come on down. We'll sign your forms. Thank you all for coming. And to echo Ms. Speech, Merry Christmas. And a Happy New Year. And to all a good night. Anywhere, right here. Anybody here can sign. How are you, sir?